This weekend, I begin my first trip overseas as president, a trip with historic significance for the American people. I will be visiting with the leaders in many different countries to strengthen our old friendships, build new partnerships, and unite the civilized world in a fight against terrorism. In that spirit of unity, I will travel to lands associated with three of the world's great religions. My first stop will be Saudi Arabia, the heart of the Muslim world. There I will address a historic gathering of the leaders of more than 50 Muslim nations. I will represent the views of the American people frankly and clearly. Many of these leaders have expressed growing concern about terrorism, the spread of radicalization, and Iran's role in funding both. Now it appears Muslim leaders are ready to take more responsibility and a much bigger role in fighting terrorism in their region. It's about time we do it. We'll do it together, but it has to be done. America cannot solve all of the world's problems, but we can and we must help any nation willing to join in the common cause of eradicating terrorism from the face of the earth. Next, I'll travel to the ancient city of Jerusalem to talk with my good friend, Prime Minister Netanyahu, about bringing peace and prosperity to both our nations. Israel is an important American ally, but in recent years we haven't always treated them that way. It's time to renew our friendship. While I'm there, I'll also meet with President Abbas of the Palestinian Authority in Bethlehem to discuss ways to advance peace between Israel and the Palestinians. From there, I'll head to the Vatican, where I will have the great honor of an audience with Pope Francis. I look forward to speaking with the Pope about how Christian teachings can help put the world on a path to justice, freedom, and peace. I will also meet with friends and allies in Europe at a gathering of NATO in Brussels and at the G7 summit in Italy. Finally, I will close my trip by saying thank you to some of the courageous men and women of the United States military serving their nation overseas. In my inaugural address, I pledge to strengthen America's oldest friendship, to seek new partners in pursuit of peace, and above all, to always put American people first. I also pledge that our partners must show that they're partners, they must show that they're friends, and they must contribute financially to the tremendous cost. The money that we're spending is so big, it's so much, and it's not fair for our nation. They have to help, and I'm sure they will. The fact is, I'm very excited about new possibilities for peace and prosperity, and I hope you are too. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Will history be made when President Trump visits Israel 1 week from today? All the signs are pointing to unprecedented progress toward a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. PA leader Mahmoud Abbas has said that he is ready to reach a peace deal with Israel. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, and Russia appear to be in favor of Trump's peace push. Will there be a peace deal? Yes. Will it happen now? That remains President Trump's number one goal as he travels to the Middle East this week is to reach an agreement, a peace agreement between Palestinians and Israelis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hear me clear. If President Trump is successful, the agreement that he hopes to sign will mark the beginning of the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and to the second coming of Jesus Christ to this earth. I cannot tell you that President Trump is going to be successful. I can tell you someone is going to be successful. There is going to be a peace deal, if we can use the word success. Actually, it will be an abysmal failure, but it will be touted as an incredible success. Nobel Peace Prizes will be passed out. The world will rejoice. Finally, we've got a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians, the core of all conflict in the entire world. That's what they'll say. However, the euphoria won't last long. Actually, it'll last maybe 3 years, 3.5 years, and then the pot will be boiling again, just like it is right now, only maybe worse, finally culminating in the world community invading Israel at the end of the 7-year period. That will be the second coming of Jesus Christ to this earth. So, is this week important? Is this week important? That's a horrible understatement. This comes from the Jerusalem Post just 3 days ago. The article is entitled, "Abbas has decided to sign peace deal with Israel." Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has crossed the Rubicon and voiced unprecedented readiness to reach a peace deal with Israel. Now, let me remind you, that's the peace deal prophesied in your Bible that will mark the beginning of the final 7 years. Abbas has been avoiding it like the plague. He wanted nothing to do with it. All of a sudden, something has switched. So now, he has voiced unprecedented readiness to reach a peace deal with Israel. Sources close to the efforts to renew talks between Israel and the Palestinians have told the Jerusalem Post. Abbas, according to the sources, made this clear to President Donald Trump during their meeting at the White House a little over a week ago. The president plans to use his trip to Israel 1 week from today to receive assurances from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he too is committed to a peace agreement. Since his meeting with Trump last week, Abbas has changed his rhetoric, issuing a number of statements meant to reflect flexibility on previous demands. He has, for example, said that he would renew the talks under Trump's auspices without preconditions. He's been insisting on preconditions for years now. What kind of magic does Donald Trump exercise over people? It's like everything he touches falls into line. At least that's the way it looks right now. Now, in the past, he had said he would not negotiate with Netanyahu, I'm speaking of Abbas now, without a freeze to settlement construction. He has also sent his advisors to the press to declare that the Palestinians are prepared to negotiate land swaps with Israel, a recognition that some West Bank settlements will remain part of Israel in the framework of a future Netanyahu, on the other hand, has largely remained quiet. The strategy within the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem seems to be to wait and hope, not to be blamed for preventing the success of the peace talks. Trump is planning to restart following his visit on May the 22nd. As reported earlier this week in Mariv and the Post, the Jerusalem Post, the person responsible for this change in Abbas is Ronald Lauder, the American billionaire and head of the World Jewish Congress, who is one of the closest people to Trump. Lauder has publicly said that he has known Trump for over 50 years and that he is a great and true friend of Israel. Before Abbas met with Trump last week, he stopped by Lauder's house for dinner and got briefed on ways to win over the president. To some, it seems that Lauder has bypassed Sheldon Adelson as the most influential Jew in Trump's circle. Now, don't forget, it's Adelson that contributed somewhere between $15 million and $25 million to Trump's presidential campaign. Now they're saying Lauder may have more influence than Adelson. Let's see what else the article had to say. Lauder has been pushing for an Israeli-Palestinian peace deal for years and was in Cairo 2 months ago for a meeting with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ahead of the Egyptian leader's visit to the White House. So it sounds like this. If you're going to the White House, make sure you have Lauder over for dinner. That's what al-Sisi did of Egypt. Now Abbas, that's what he did before going to the White House. Lauder, sources say, seems to have been tapped by the president as something of a semi-official envoy to the region with an emphasis on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Another article comes from the Jerusalem Post. PA President Abbas reportedly ready for Netanyahu-Trump meeting. What do they mean by that? Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is prepared to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu under the good offices of U.S. President Donald Trump. You know, while Trump is being absolutely eaten alive here at home, internationally, he's being hailed as a hero. The good offices of Donald Trump. Trump is expected to issue invitations to a trilateral summit when he visits Jerusalem and Bethlehem later this month, according to television station I-24. In a press conference in Ramallah on Tuesday, Abbas said, "We affirm to Trump that we are ready to cooperate with him and meet the Israeli Prime Minister under his auspices in order to make peace," Abbas said. Sounds serious to me. I haven't heard this from Mahmoud Abbas over the last 12, 15 years. I've been following it every day. Now, Netanyahu has persistently called on Abbas to meet with him without preconditions. Separately, the White House on Wednesday rejected reports that Trump had decided not to relocate the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The president has not made a decision yet. He's still reviewing it. Deputy White House spokesman Sarah Huckabee Sanders said on Trump's deliberations over moving the embassy to Jerusalem, "As soon as we have a decision, I know we'll be happy to report back." Netanyahu's office confirmed it had not received any notice from Washington with regard to the embassy. Israel's position is that all embassies, particularly the U.S. Embassy, should be in Israel's capital, Jerusalem. The Prime Minister's office said in a statement, "There is speculation that if Trump were to relocate the embassy, he would announce it during his visit now planned for May 22nd through 23rd. Could it be that a week from tomorrow, that would be the 23rd, a week from today is the 22nd? Could it be that we will receive this world-shaking announcement that the U.S. is moving its embassy to Jerusalem? And if we do hear that, what will it mean? If we don't hear that, what will it mean?" Palestinian leader and Arab leaders have warned the U.S. against the move of the embassy, saying it would trigger violence in Israel and elsewhere. The U.S. Congress passed a law in 1995 mandating the move of the embassy to Jerusalem, but allowed the president a waiver. Each president since then has exercised the waiver every 6 months, citing the national security interest of the United States. Okay, I gotta hurry because there's so much more. Saudi king invites Abbas to Riyadh summit with Trump. Jordan's King Abdullah and Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika are also among the dignitaries reportedly invited to the summit taking place during Trump's stop in the Gulf nation as part of his first presidential foreign tour, which also includes visits to Israel and the Vatican. It's my understanding that President Trump is leaving Friday. He's going to Saudi Arabia first. Now Saudi Arabia is inviting all of these Arab leaders in, apparently, to talk to Trump before they actually have the sit down with Netanyahu in Jerusalem. Now, according to the Saudi press agency, Saudi embassy representative in Jordan, Tariq bin Mohammed Rashwan, delivered the invitation to Abbas in Amman for the May 2021 gathering. Abbas has said to have agreed to attend the event. According to regional reports, the Saudi-hosted Arab, Islamic, and American summit was expected to address issues in the Arab and Muslim worlds and open a dialogue about forging new security partnerships. What's that about? That's about Iran. You got Iran, the Shia power that's moving toward becoming a nuclear power, and Saudi Arabia doesn't want to be subjected to Iran, and neither does Jordan, and neither does Egypt, and neither does many of the other countries. So they're going to be talking security. And while they're talking their security, Trump may say, well, what about Israel's security? Because that's one of the biggest issues in the talks between the Israelis and the Palestinians. This next article, I want you to hear about Russia voices support for Trump's peace efforts. It comes from the Israel National News on the 11th, 4 days ago of this month. Here's what it says. Moscow supports the resumption of dialogue between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Thursday as his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump prepares to visit Israel. Putin said Russia will continue to give its full support to the resumption of direct dialogue between Palestinians and Israelis. Following talks with PA leader Mahmoud Abbas in the southern Russian city of Sochi. The peaceful coexistence of the two states, Palestine and Israel, is an indispensable condition to ensure genuine security and stability in this region, Putin said. Abbas, meanwhile, said the PA values Russia's counter-terrorism efforts as well as its contribution to the strengthening security and stability in the Middle East, including in Syria, Russia's Novosti state news agency reported. Abbas said Thursday he welcomed President Trump's desire to help find a solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, according to a transcript published by official Palestinian news agency Wafa. I told him that we were completely ready to cooperate with him and undertake efforts to reach a historic peace plan to end the conflict between us and the Israelis, Abbas said. We are ready. He said it again, didn't he? This article comes from the Jerusalem Post 3 days ago, May the 12th. It's entitled Abbas, Moscow Essential to Resolving Conflict. Whoa, stop a minute. Think about this. Remember, Russia's going to be the leading power that will invade Israel at Armageddon. And Abbas says Russia is essential to a peace deal. Now, the Bible teaches the Antichrist is going to participate in the peace talks, in the achievement of a peace agreement. What does that mean then? Where does that leave Vladimir Putin? All big questions we can't totally answer right now. But listen, peace between Israel and the Palestinians cannot be achieved without the participation of Russia, Palestinian Authority. President Mahmoud Abbas said during a meeting with President Vladimir Putin in the resort city of Sochi on Thursday. It is impossible to solve the Palestinian issue without Russia's meaningful participation in the peace process, Abbas said, according to TASS, an official Russian news agency. That is what we have been emphasizing at all international meetings, Abbas said. Abbas, who visited the White House last week, arrived in Russia on Wednesday to meet with Putin and other officials. The PA leader also reiterated that he is willing to participate in a trilateral meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with Putin in Moscow, and himself. We are ready to accept this invitation at any time, Abbas said. Now, both Abbas and Netanyahu agreed in principle to a trilateral meeting in Moscow last year, but a date was never set. Putin said Russia and the Palestinians have strong ties. Putin is the second foreign leader Abbas met with this week. The PA president also met with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier on Tuesday in Ramallah. So the Germans are getting in. The Russians are getting in.
Most Israelis just want to live quiet, peaceful lives. But in these turbulent end times, all roads lead to Israel, God's prophetic timepiece. If you want to understand the prophetic importance of something, look at it in relation to Israel. North Korea's weapons of mass destruction place South Korea, Japan, and to some degree, the whole world in danger. That's our immediate concern. But its prophetic significance can be seen in the way it affects Israel. First, it reminds us that North Korea might one day be one of the mysterious kings of the East of Revelation 16:12, who will march against Israel in the time leading up to Armageddon. But North Korea also has a more immediate connection to Israel, Iran. The Korean communists have long been Iran's primary supplier of weapons technology. And Iran has made the complete destruction of Israel its stated goal. Most Iranian missiles are based on North Korean models, with China pressuring the rogue nation to stop its WMD programs. Iran becomes more important to Kim Jong-un's government. China provides 90% of North Korea's fuel. If China stops the flow of oil, what could the North do? They already have a hard time keeping the lights on. They would have to turn more heavily toward Iran, one of the world's leading oil producers. North Korea needs Iran's fuel trade. Iran needs North Korea's nuclear and missile technology. It's a marriage made in hell. For years, the U.S. State Department has designated Iran the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism. There are many reasons for this designation, but the biggest is their relationship to the terror group Hezbollah. It's not even a nation, but according to the Weekly Standard, Hezbollah has an offensive arsenal bigger than that of all Western Europe. That includes 130,000 operational ballistic missiles, and these aren't just homemade, do-it-yourself models. They are highly sophisticated and enormously powerful. How could a terrorist group gain such an arsenal? For the most part, they got it from their Shia Muslim allies in Iran. Iran based their designs on technology purchased from North Korea. So as North Korea develops even better missiles, Iran will get them too. And as Iran missiles grow more powerful and sophisticated, you can count on Hezbollah also getting better missiles. Almost every one of those 130,000 missiles points south toward Israel. The elite of the elite, the Iranian military, is a special forces group called Quds Force. They answer directly to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. More than any other group in Iran, they work directly with Hezbollah and other terrorist groups. Al-Quds is the most common Arabic name for Jerusalem. The point is obvious when you name your country's most elite military unit the Jerusalem Force. You tell the world that you intend to one day take Jerusalem in battle. Ezekiel 38 says that in the future, Iran will attempt just that. They will join with Russia to lead a massive invasion of Israel. When Russian aircraft buzz U.S. aircraft in Alaska or fly the coast of California just outside of U.S. airspace, Americans become concerned about their security. That's the immediate significance of their action. But look at the bigger picture, and Israel again comes into play. Continuing displays of Russian belligerence isolates it from other nations. Their friends are dwindling dramatically, increasing the importance of their few alliances. The same thing is happening with Iran and with Turkey. These nations fought one another for millennia, but their alliance is growing every day, just as the Bible predicted. Israel is God's timepiece. Make no mistake, the countdown has begun.